AEW plans to debut on TBS this upcoming Wednesday. It is January 3rd, 2022. We also have some news of AEW planning a major debut. Should be really exciting. Also, on top of that, we have some Impact Wrestling free agency news. And on top of that, we have a follow up to something that's actually been in the works with WWE, the main roster, and NXT. If you guys want more wrestling news videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring that bell, get notified. As you guys know, I bring you daily videos, and my job is to tell you guys what I think about it. So, with that being said, I would love to hear some of your opinions. Don't forget to drop a comment down below or check out the Discord server. The link is in the description. You can chat with tons of wrestling fans just like yourself. We're going to kick things off talking about WWE's main roster. As you guys know, Grayson Waller is in a storyline with AJ Styles. AJ Styles is set to appear on NXT 2.0 again. This time he'll be at New Year's Evil to confront Grayson Waller. I'm sure things will get pretty chaotic within the storyline. But of course, people are asking about WWE main roster and NXT crossover because now we are actually starting to see it. Now, there is a belief that WWE will, in fact, bring more crossover between all three brands. So whether an NXT superstar shows up on Raw or SmackDown, it is very well possible. The idea of a main roster star showing up on NXT is also very possible. Now, the reason why I want to actually bring this up, because people think like this has never been done before. If I have to remind you, just go back onto the Peacock app and go back in the old days of NXT around 2012, 2013, 2014. It was not uncommon for a main roster wrestler to show up on NXT. One that comes to mind was Jinder Mahal. In fact, if I remember correctly, if my memory serves me right, I believe Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins fought in the finals for the NXT Championship tournament. If I remember correctly, it was something like that. But nonetheless, the reason why I bring this up is because it was a normal thing for main roster people to show up once in a while. Maybe it was to help the talent, maybe it was for extra development or whatever it may be. It wasn't until WWE started signing a shit ton of indie wrestlers in which we never really saw a crossover. I think before that it was just Keith Lee at Survivor Series, and then other than that, it was when the Saudi Arabia trip happened, NXT invaded SmackDown. But other than that, there's never really been too much NXT crossover. So now there is a belief that it's actually going to continue happening. A lot of people hate Grayson Waller. He is a heel. He's making people hate him. He's doubling down even on the go-away heat. He wants people to hate him, so he will do things like this. I like the idea of him messing with AJ Styles. I just don't want this to be a situation with AJ Styles where he gets, buried or he loses to this up-and-coming talent, because we don't need AJ Styles to lose here. But we'll see what eventually happens within the story. All right, guys, just some small little Impact Wrestling news. Rohit Raju, a.k.a. Hakeem Zayn, is now a free agent. He is a former Impact Wrestling X Division champion. If you guys don't watch Impact Wrestling, this is a talent that I say everybody needs to watch out for because he's actually really, really good. Whether it's a serious role or a comedic role, Hakeem Zayn has shown time and time again that he is a very good talent. He has had a crazy amount of good matches in Impact Wrestling. And as you guys know, I do like Impact Wrestling a lot. The real question here is, now that he's a free agent, where will he go next? Now, there was this belief that AEW was looking for more talent, more veterans for AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. I just can't see him signing with AEW for that purpose, but of course it is just something to kind of keep in mind. We know WWE isn't necessarily signing former indie wrestlers, but they still have made some exceptions here and there. My belief is that he's either going to resign with Impact, or perhaps we'll see him go the indie wrestling route again. Maybe GCW is an option or whatever it may be, but it's just something to consider. All right, guys, I do want to talk about AEW on TBS because the debut is just a few days away. What's really cool here is that AEW on TBS is actually a very big deal for AEW. A lot of people are very well aware that the ratings may not be as accurate for a while because obviously it is changing channels and whatnot. But I believe AEW on TBS is going to be a successful change for AEW. And I'm actually really interested to see what ends up happening here because there is a big belief backstage in AEW. Everybody is extremely thrilled about this change. People are excited about this new era. And honestly, I can understand why. Going to TBS, it is more accessible in more homes than TNT. I don't know exactly what AEW's plans are, but we do know that AEW does have plans to make a debut happen. And this is something that's been teased by one of their top stars. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but I do want to double down on something. AEW moving to TBS is a big deal because Rampage will be staying on Dynamite. Rampage will be staying on TNT. Dynamite will be moving to Rampage. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because with the changeover, the ratings may not be that hot for Dynamite at the start. But the real potential here is maybe a month or two down the line, we'll start to really have a true understanding of where the viewership stands with AEW on, Warner Media's television networks. Rampage has kind of dropped significantly. Dynamite would drop and then it would kind of go back up. And then obviously the holidays, and then there's competition between other channels and stuff like that. This really will show AEW and it'll show where AEW truly ranks in terms of television ratings. There is a belief that there is going to be an increase in viewership. Only time will tell. I don't think we'll see that for another month or two, but I am excited about the change. Also, we do got to talk about that debut. I'm very excited about it. Malachi Black has posted on Instagram a post that is teasing 2/3 of House of Black basically being revealed. So we don't know who exactly is in House of Black, but we do know just a couple of weeks ago on AEW television, they aired a vignette that teased the arrival of a king. Now, as you guys know, I've been following the story. Brody King did in fact sign with AEW. We made a video on this previously, but the belief is that AEW will in fact be having this debut take place on the debut episode of AEW on TBS. Now again, Tony Khan has been holding his surprises. He's been planning them out strategically. I don't know if Brody King is going to necessarily be the guy that changes the game for AEW, but I do know it adds a different level of intrigue in regards to the Malachi Black storyline. I do believe that Brody King and Malachi Black will take out Brian Pillman Jr. I believe maybe we could even have the full group being revealed. I think that would be really significant. But I am excited about the fact that Malachi Black would be bringing in his roster or his partners in his faction very soon. Now, the idea that it's going to happen on the TBS episode makes sense because they're going to want to end this show with people, kind of like a cliffhanger, and they're going to want people to find out what's going to happen next. So I do believe that Malachi Black and Brian Pillman Jr. will actually end the show with Brody King, Malachi Black taking out Brian Pillman Jr. Now, if I'm AEW and I'm introducing a new faction, I would just reveal all the members at this particular part. But of course, who knows what they're actually going to do. I don't like having things being dragged out for too long. Sometimes that is something that AEW does. So I'm just kind of hoping that AEW just does it all at once. Now let's get excited. Who else is in House of Black? Let's not do a slow burn. Let's make a big impact with this and see what happens. Guys, my name is Ango. This channel is where I bring you the latest news and rumors. If you guys want more news and rumors, go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring that bell, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.